When animating your Unity character, you often need separate animations for the upper body and the lower body part. For example, keeping a steady aim on a target while the legs handle the walking and strafing. Finding a single perfect animation that already combines both is almost impossible. In this video, you'll learn how to split your character in half. Hi, I'm Peter and welcome to Sunny Valley Studio. We'll use Unity's animation layers and avatar masks to play completely different animations per body section. I'll also show you how to import Mixamo animations into your project and the exact import settings you need to adjust so that your animations aren't broken. All you need is a character model in a T-pose or A-pose. Next, just sign in to Mixamo, link is in the description, and upload your model. In case it's not rigged, you can rig it directly in Mixamo. If you have rigged your character here, remember to download the rigged FBX, selecting FBX for Unity as the format. Next, just search for the animations that you want to use, since those are royalty-free for personal and commercial use, including the available character models. Here is the archery idle animation that I want to use, but I would like the hands to always play the aim animation and also use the release arrow animation, but the legs will not always be idle. For now, just download the animations that you want. Set the format to FBX for Unity and Skin 2 without skin and add them to your Unity project. For movement animations, checking in place before exporting simplifies the setup, but it isn't available when downloading, for example, a longbow animation pack, and we can adjust this setting in Unity as well. First, select your character model and in the inspector, select the rig category. Here, I will select animation type as humanoid and set avatar definition to create from this model and apply. Now, in the Project tab, expand the model asset and you'll see the avatar nested inside it. If you click Configure, the avatar should be all green. If it's not, consult the documentation on how to fix it. Next, we want to select all the Mixamo animations and repeat the process, so in the inspector in the Rig tab, we need to specify a humanoid animation type and use Create from this model and click Apply. Unity's animation retargeting will handle all the rest, ensuring that the animations will work correctly. When exporting without skin, to get a preview of the animation, in the inspector in the Animation tab, select Preview. Click Change the Model button and select your character model to use it for the animation preview. If all your animations are from Mixamo created using your uploaded model, you can also select the Copy from Other Avatar option and drag your character model avatar and click Apply to simplify the setup. Next step is to drag our character model to our scene. We want to add the animator component in the inspector and assign the avatar that we have just created. We want to use the Create menu to create the animator controller asset. Next, assign it to our animator and make sure to uncheck Apply Root Motion unless you want to use it for your character movement system. Now, we want to go to Window, Animations, and open Animator and Animation tab. Before we prepare our animator controller, we first need to fix the import settings of every animation to ensure that the movement animation doesn't actually move the model or other animations to stay grounded and either loop or not. Let's select our idle animation and in the inspector open the animation category. Here, we want to have an import animation check. With Mixamo, we will need to manually rename our animations to something like Archer Idle. Below the timeline, we have Loop Time checkbox. We want to check it for animations that should loop like idle or walk. For our idle animation, let's check it and also check Back into Pose under Root Transform Rotation, Root Transform Position Y and Root Transform Position XZ and click Apply. Bake into pose keeps the motion inside the animation itself, so it never moves or rotates the actual game object, which is what we want because our code is in charge of movement. Let me explain those settings using a die animation. Here, we want the loop time to be obviously unchecked. Now, in the preview, you can see that the character when dying is actually floating in the air. If we check the apply root motion on the animator, the animation seems to play correctly, right? But root motion physically moved the transform. Our character is no longer where our game object and not where our script expects it to be. Often we don't want root motion to actually move our character model and instead want to play our animation in place. Notice in Mixamo that character dies flat on the ground because Mixamo plays the animation exactly as it was made. But in Unity it floats. That's because animations don't just bend limbs. They also move the whole body through space. So when Unity imports the clip, it takes the whole body movement out of the animation and stores it separately. Which means that if we uncheck the apply root motion on the animator, the character doesn't fall to the ground but plays the animation in the air. That is why we select root transform position Y and check bake into pose and apply. This bakes the movement into the pose itself. The animation plays exactly as authored and our model's position doesn't change. Here is the arrow release animation that in preview keeps rotating our character. If we bake into pose the root transform rotation and apply, we can see that now the character's rotation is unaffected by the animation. One problem: the blue arrow at the character's feet shows the forward direction of the game object, and our character is not pointing that way. We want to change the root transform rotations based upon field and select original instead. Let's apply. Now in the preview the character is correctly rotated. Lastly, the walk animation. In the preview the character moves around rather than standing in place. Root transform position XZ category controls if the animation affects the position of the model. For movement animations, if I check bake into pose and play, you will see that the circle stays but the character moves away. In your game, your character model will actually move away from its game object. We need to uncheck bake into pose for movement animations. By default, Unity extracts movement as root motion. And since our animator has apply root motion disabled, the motion is simply discarded. But we do want to bake it for animations that don't include movement, like idle animations. To summarize, all movement animations should have loop time checked, plus baked into pose under root transform rotation and root transform position Y, with based upon set to original for rotation. For animations that don't make the character move, we want to check bake into pose for all three categories. With all that done, let's set up our animation system. Let's select our player and select the animator window. We will change the name of the base layer to be locomotion. In Unity, we can have multiple animation layers, and those allow us to apply different motion to each body part. I will right-click in the animator, create state, and select from new blend tree, and double-click it to open it. Blend tree helps us to blend between multiple poses. For example, move X and move Z parameters transition between idle and forward animations. Let's select parameters section because we need to add two float parameters like move X and move Z. Select the blend tree and in the inspector set the type to 2D simple directional. Make sure to select move X and move Z parameters as input. Below, add 5 motion states. We just assign the animation like idle and it will play when X and Z are both 0. I will add my 4 directional movement animations and specify the values of X and Z when those will be playing. If we press play, when both values are 0, character plays idle animation. so it doesn't aim the bow. When we modify the sliders, it plays different walk animations and correctly aims the bow. Since I want the character to aim even when standing idle, we need to add a new layer in the animator, so let's call it upper body. The last step is to create avatar mask to specify which parts of the character each animation will affect. Just right-click and in the animation section select avatar mask and call it upper body. In the inspector, we want to click all the lower body parts and turn them red. Notice the circle under the feet. That's the root. It must be deselected or the aim animation will try steering the whole character instead of just the arms. Back in the animator, click the cog icon near the upper body layer, assign the avatar mask, and drag the weight to 1 so this layer fully overrides how the upper body is animated. I just added walk forward animation as the default. I can use the walk animation here because its upper body is already holding the aim pose, and the mask discards its leg entirely, so only the arms come through. If the upper body sways too much for your taste, just select a different aim animation clip. I also added arrow release animation with loop time off and added a transition using the shoot trigger with has exit time off. The returning transition has it on, so it will correctly go back to aiming. Now, even when idle, character is aiming, and I can trigger the shooting using the shoot trigger. With this animation setup, I can use the character controller component for the movement system. Remember that in your script you want to send to the animator X and Z values calculated using the inverse transform direction, passing the velocity calculated based on your input. This way, the directions are relative to where the character faces, not the world. You can grab the script and this project for free from my Patreon. And that's your character split in half. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments section. Thanks for watching.